and welcome to Player One Memories. So let's jump back to 1990 when the Atari Lynx handheld system was released, instantly making the Game Boy look like an early 80s Game & Watch. Unfortunately, the crazy $169.99 price tag back then made Richie Rich the only kid on the block that could afford one. The Leaning Tower Pizza temporarily closed to the public due to concerns of it falling over, which makes visiting it now, some 30 plus years later, a really good idea. On second thought, avoid this death trap at all costs. And Ernest Goes to Jail, the most demented, and that's saying something, entry in this series was released, and dials the mentalness up to 1000%.
Is this the way you treat your mother?
We miss you, Jim Varney, you crazy SOB. And now over to today's game, which is Pit Fighter, which was released by Atari Games in 1990. If ever there was an arcade that was polarizing, it's definitely this. You either love or hate it. I obviously fall into the former just due to my unhealthy love of all games with FMV or ham-fisted digitized graphics. It's bad, but I don't care. I originally played this at a dodgy bowling alley in the early 90s. It was sitting right next to Technos' WWF Superstars. I admittedly played that first, but this was next as my parents ate lunch before the next round of bowling. The game was Atari's first beat-em-up and falls into the arena-style combat genre, with big open areas filled with items, crowd participation, and if you add 2 other players, the screen becomes a chaotic holy mess of carnage, which is really how this game should be played. It took its inspiration, no doubt, from the flood of ham-fisted but completely lovable kung fu tournament movies that were invading the VHS shelf at the time, such as Bloodsport, The Best of the Best, and AWOL. The character select screen should be proof of that, with 3 cliche characters to choose from. Buzz, the wrestler, an amalgamation of 5 or 6 WWF wrestlers all put into one. Ty, the kickboxer, a blatant Jean-Claude Van Damme ripoff right down to the Bloodsport split sequence. And Kato, a not-so-subtle reference to Bruce Lee from the Green Hornet with his karate-style antics. The goal of this beat-em-up is to fight your way through 15 different matches, taking on all manner of street trash, with names such as The Executioner, Southside Jim, and Heavy Metal, until you take out the gimp that is the Masked Warrior. Just like all Atari's games, it's all about score and making money, completing rounds faster using fancy moves, and winning bonus grudge matches, which happens every 3 rounds, adds to your cash winnings. Being illegal Fight Club style affairs, rules are non-existent. Pummel your opponent to death any way you can, with fists and kicks, weapons found around the arena, massive items to throw, with motorbikes being the coolest, and even juicing up on some Hulk power-ups to go on an immortal rampage. Anything goes, basically. Gameplay is fairly basic, with punches and kicks, throws or grapples, and random uses of items, but it's fast-paced and keeps your attention, even though it does get a little bit monotonous. The graphics were definitely unique for the time, especially in the arcades, and this is one of the first games to use real actors shot in front of blue screen, then transferred directly to a game, not simply rotoscope, and is the exact same technique that would be later used for Mortal Kombat. Which begs the question, was Atari the inspiration for the whole franchise? The sound is typical Atari arcade variety, tons of samples, and dodgy first-generation Mega Drive music. The real fun of this game is all going to come down to whether you're going to be playing it in 3-player multiplayer. That just ramps up the chaos factor of it, and is definitely its best feature. Playing single player is fun, but the monotony will soon set in. This game was a relatively big success for Atari at the time, selling over 6,500 arcade cabs, and the game was ported to almost every system under the sun at the time. It never got a sequel, unfortunately, although Atari's Guardians of the Hood, a scrolling beat-em-up, is considered a spiritual successor, and is another cheese fest well worth having a go at. Overall, if you love So Bad It's Good movies and mindless laugh-out-loud gaming with a bunch of friends, then Pit Fighter may be for you. And thanks for joining me, Bastish B, at 64K. If you can like and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.